Hi, hello my dear kids, how are you all, and welcome back to my YouTube channel Vidyapitha. And today we are going to learn about an important chapter of class 10th chemistry, that is acid bases and salts. Three important things that we have to analyze here. One is about acid, two about the bases, and three about the salts. In this chapter, the total board paper carries in and around of 7 to 9 marks, which covers a case study, a MCQ and various other concepts to be added on. Alright, so in this chapter we are majorly focusing on acid, bases and salts, my dear kids. So let us move on with the first slide here. What is the important thing and definitions that we have to analyze? What's an acid and what's a base? See, whenever we have two different substances given to us, we can't taste those two substances and identify whether it's an acid or a base. For that, we need to have certain important properties with which we'll analyze. So, if you want to understand what is an acid, acids are substances which are sour in taste. They are sour in taste, and bases are bitter in taste. The first difference between an acid and a base is this will be sour, that will be bitter. Second, there's an important paper called as a litmus paper which will make us identify whether dipped in a solution, due to the change in color, I can identify whether it's an acid or a base. There are two important litmus paper, one is blue color and one is red color. So if I take a blue litmus paper, then dip it in a solution, the blue litmus will turn red. If the blue litmus is turning to red color, then the given solution will be an acid. The vice versa will be the base. If I take a red litmus paper and it will turn blue, then it belongs to base category. So any solution given, I'll take a red litmus paper and dip it. If it is turning blue, it's a base. I'll take a blue litmus paper and dip it. If it is turning red, it's an acid. Now the third difference is there are important many indicators which will help us identify whether given solution is an acid or a base. One of the major important indicator is methyl orange. So acids normally changes when dipped in methyl orange to red color. If I have a solution and I put a drop of methyl orange in it, if it is turning red, then that solution is an acid. The same methyl orange, if it is dipped in a base, then it is turning yellow, then the solution will be base. The third type of indicator is called as phenolphthalein. Phenolphthalein is basically a colorless solution. So if that indicator is dropped inside a solution given to you and the solution is again colorless, it will be an acid. In acids, phenolphthalein will not change any color, but in bases it will turn to pinkish color. If the solution is turning pink, then it's a base. If it is remaining colorless, it will be an acid. The fifth type of difference is acid do not give any soapy touch. It is not soapy to touch, but bases are soapy to touch. Then acids normally gives hydrogen, liberates hydrogen ion, but bases should contain hydroxyl ion. Like HCl is a given acid, H2SO4 is one of the example of acid, HNO3 is another type of acid. So in all these important acids, we have H plus and Cl minus, H2 plus and SO4 minus, H plus and NO3 minus. So whenever I have H plus ions in my given solution, that belongs to acid category. Whereas if I have to identify a base, the common bases known to me are NaOH, KOH, CaOH whole twice. So in this, the most common thing is hydroxide, OH. If I have OH minus ions present in my given solution, then I call it as a base. So this is the major difference between an acid and a base to start with the chapter, to understand the chapter in a very better manner. There are some important names of acid given here. The names of the acids are acetic acid, it's found in vinegar, formic acid is found in ant sting, citric acid is found in citrus fruits, lactic acid in curd, oxalic in spinach, and ascorbic in amla and citrus fruit. So major acids and where they are found is a tabulation made by me. So this is an important difference that you have to understand. To further move on, let us see what is there in the next part of the slide. In this slide, my dear kids, we are going to learn about an important thing called as indicator. What is an indicator? Indicator are substances which are going to help us to identify whether the given solution is an acid or a base. See, if I have a beaker and I pour some liquid inside it, just by looking at the liquid, nobody can identify whether it's an acid or a base. Or you can't even taste it, because if you taste an acid, it will not be good and it will hurt you a lot, right? So in that aspect, how do I identify whether H plus ion is there or OH minus ion is there? With the help of a concept called as indicator. There are important three types of indicator. The first one is a natural indicator, second one is synthetic indicator, and third is called as an olfactory indicator. Whenever I come to natural indicator, three important things. One is litmus, the next one is hydrangea flowers, and the third one is turmeric. As I told you in the previous slide, litmus is basically having three types. One, purple color litmus is there, red color litmus, and blue color litmus. If I have an indicator called as litmus and if I am dipping it in a base, it will turn blue to red. If I am dipping it in an acid, it will turn red to blue. So whatever is the color indicated here, that will give you the indication whether the given substance is an acid or a salt. Same way, if I have turmeric, neutral solution, it will be yellow. If it is an acid, it will be yellow. But if it is reacting with a base, it will turn red. So this tabulation or this slide is going to help you out to identify the indicator with the color change. The same color changes we have adopted here, and it's beautifully done in a tabulated format. So quickly pause the video, or else you can just find the same PPT in the description box. The second type of indicator is called as a synthetic or an artificial man-made indicator. Man-made indicators are of two types. First, phenolphthalein. Second, methyl orange. If I pour phenolphthalein in an acid, it will stay colorless. If in a base, it will turn pink. Same with methyl orange. If I am pouring methyl orange in an acid, it will turn red, and in a base, it will turn yellow. So the colors are described here. Try to identify them and memorize them. The third type of indicator is called as olfactory. Olfactory means the substance which liberates smell. There are many substances, naturally found substances which liberate smell, like onion is an olfactory indicator, vanilla essence is an olfactory indicator. So substances whose odor changes in acid or base medium are called olfactory indicator. Some of the examples are vanilla essence, onion, and clove. So what is happening? If these three substances are poured in a base, then if no smell is indicated, it's a base. If smell is coming out, it's an acid. So the tabulation done here gives you an exact information. Based on indicators only, many questions are asked. Like for example, 4 different test tubes will be given. One, A, B, C, D. A is turning blue to red, B is turning red to blue, C is colorless, and D is yellow. Identify the substances. This is one kind of question that is majorly asked based on this topic. So what's an indicator? A chemical compound that changes its color in the presence of an acid used or a base is called as an indicator. To further move on, in the further part of the chapter, my dear kids, there are many chemical properties. What's a chemical property? Any substance reacting with one another to produce a new substance is called a chemical change. So when a chemical reaction is happening, at that point of time, if it is happening with base or acid, what are the major important things that we have to keep in mind? That is called a chemical property of an acid. There are important chemical properties based on which the many questions are going to arise. Let us see the first one. What happens when an acid is reacting with first one called as a metal? Acid is reacting with a metal. Okay, I am taking, see, most of the general form is given here. When a metal is added with dilute acid, it is liberating salt and hydrogen. Example, Zn plus 2HCl gives me ZnCl2 plus H2 is the liberation here. So general forms goes like, when a metal is reacting with an acid, it liberates salt and hydrogen gas. That will be your general form. Whenever general forms are memorized by you, the concept is going to be very easy, as well as you will love doing the question answers based on these general forms as well. The most important thing here to be observed is when hydrogen gas is evolved, the hydrogen gas is made to pass through a soap solution. Afterwards, if you are just taking a candle or a lighter in front of it, the hydrogen bubbles will pop up giving a sound. That is the indication that the gas liberated is going to be hydrogen itself. There is an important activity based on this also. When we are just pouring zinc in zinc granules in sulfuric acid solution, what are the changes that are going to happen? And a case study question is also important in this aspect. Second is, this was my first one, reaction of an acid with a metal. Coming to second one, what happens when a metal is reacting with, metal carbonate is reacting with an acid? General form will be no changes, metal carbonate plus acid gives me salt, carbon dioxide and water. Metal carbonate is nothing. What's a carbonate? If I have any metal like zinc, ZnCO3 is zinc carbonate, and MgCO3 is magnesium carbonate, Na2CO3 is sodium carbonate. So what is a carbonate? CO3 format of a metal is a carbonate. So if I am taking Na2CO3, adding it with HCl, I am just undergoing a displacement reaction, NaCl, and CO2 and H2O is liberated out of it. The most important thing you have to observe here is, when CO2 is liberated, this CO2 turns milky when passed through lime water. This CO2 is turning milky. That's the indication that the gas evolved is carbon dioxide here. So the metal carbonate with acid is giving you an indication of carbon dioxide, which can be detected using lime water test. The third one is nothing but the metal hydrogen carbonate. Now what is metal hydrogen carbonate? Any metal with HCO3, like NaHCO3 if I have, I call it as metal hydrogen carbonate. Only Na2CO3, it's metal carbonate. Okay. So when I go to the general form, metal hydrogen carbonate with acid, no changes. It is giving the same product, salt, carbon dioxide and water. Here also I had salt, carbon dioxide and water itself. So no changes. When an acid is reacting with metal carbonate or metal hydrogen carbonate, the products are absolutely the same. See, the byproducts are also not changing here. NaHCO3 plus HCl gives NaCl, CO2, H2O. No changes at all. Here also lime water test only we do to identify carbon dioxide. So the general form of metal carbonate or metal hydrogen carbonate remains the same. Only thing is, here I have Na2CO3, here I have NaHCO3. That's the only change that you have to understand. Moving to the fourth general form is called as metal oxide. Metal oxides are also called as basic oxides. Basic oxides, okay. Metal oxides are those substances which are like Na2O, that's a metal with oxygen, metal oxide. CuO, MgO, these are called metal oxide. Metal with oxygen is metal oxide. The general form will be metal oxide plus acid gives salt and water. See, here also salt, hydrogen gas, salt, carbon dioxide, water, salt, carbon dioxide, water, salt, water. Remember these general forms, it is going to be very helpful for you, okay? So whenever I have one important metal oxide called as copper oxide, taking it with an acid, this is giving me displacement, CuCl2 and H2O is liberated. When this solution turns blue-green indicator, indicating the formation of copper chloride. Okay, this is a solution which will turn the blue indicator to green. So when it is turning green, we can say it's a neutral solution or neutral salt that is being formed. CuCl2 is a neutral salt that is formed. The most important thing that I have to understand here is, there are two important gases liberated, hydrogen, carbon dioxide in two different reactions. reactions, how to detect them, as well as all the general forms are very important. So these are chemical properties of acid. Let us further learn about the next reaction. What happens to the chemical properties of bases? In bases, the reaction is first what happens when a base is reacting with a metal. The general form is not at all changing. Base or acid with a metal liberates salt and hydrogen gas. Base plus metal gives salt and H2 gas. So Zn plus NaOH gives Na2ZnO2 plus H2. What is this substance? This is called as sodium zincate. The name of the substance is sodium zincate plus hydrogen gas. Again, the hydrogen gas can be detected using pop sound itself. No more changes there. The second type of chemical reaction with a base is base with non-metal oxide. See, bases do not react with metal oxide. They react with non-metal oxide. So we call it as acidic oxide. Non-metal oxides are called as acidic oxide. They are acidic in nature. General form will be non-metallic oxide plus a base gives salt and water. Same with, let us go to the previous slide. See, metal oxide plus acid gives salt and water. The same thing is happening here. Non-metal oxide plus base gives salt plus water. The byproducts are not changing. Only the reactants are changing. So what's the best example? Carbon dioxide plus calcium hydroxide gives calcium carbonate plus water. Here, this reaction can be called as neutralization reaction because when an acid is reacting here, the base is reacting with the non-metallic oxide, the substance are getting neutralized to form salt and water, indicating that this is a neutralization reaction. So these are important reactions tabulated in the form here. So what's a neutralization reaction? When an acid and a base react to form salt and water, we call it as neutralization reaction. The most common example of neutralization reaction is the base NaOH reacting with an acid HCl gives salt called as NaCl with water H2O. This is the most common neutralization reaction that we all have to learn, and it's given in the NCERT textbook also. So this was a tabulation in which we have learnt about the important properties of chemical properties of bases. If you are not able to understand, you can just comment below saying about what examples you need or what indications are required for you to just clarify the doubts. Okay. Further moving on in the chapter, we have important concept called as pH. What is pH? pH is majorly called as potence of hydrogen present in any acid or any base. See, whenever we take an acid, the acid should contain H plus ion. HCl is an acid, hydrochloric acid, it has H plus ion. H2SO4 is an acid, it has H plus ion. NaOH is a base, it has OH minus ion. So the amount of hydrogen present in any substance indicates the value of pH. The exact definition of pH is the measure of concentration of hydrogen ion in the solution. It's written here. Okay, pH is the measure of concentration of hydrogen ion. What do I mean by concentration? Concentration means the quantity or the ability of H plus ion present in a solution. The pH scale is divided into, it starts from 0 and ends to 14. 1 to 14 or 0 to 14 is the normal range of pH, in which if we have 6, 7, 8 as the value of pH, we call it as neutral solution. If it is more than 7, we call it as a alkaline category, and if it is less than 7, we call it as acidic category. The more lesser value, the higher amount of acidity will be there. That means if I take 1, which is red here, this is strong acid. 3, almost strong acid. But if I count 7, it's not strong. It will be called as weak acid. Same way, if I take 8, it's a weak alkaline. 14 is strong alkaline. So the normal value of pH starts between 1 to 14. The neutral solution is always 7. Greater than 7 will be called as strong alkaline, and decreasing order from 7 to 1 will be called as strong acid. So based on pH scale, various types of questions are asked, and these colors are also important for you to memorize. They'll give you the color of the solution is light blue. What can be the pH and what is the nature of the solution? The color of solution is red. What can be the pH and how do you identify the given substance? So depending on the color as well as the value of the pH, many questions are asked. So pH gives you the amount of H plus ion present in the solution. Moving on, importance of pH in our daily life. Why is pH important? What is the use of just studying about pH? The first thing is, in digestion, the stomach uses HCl with a pH of 1 to 3 to break down food. We all know that our stomach contains an enzyme called as hydrochloric acid that is going to enhance the amount of digestion. So HCl quantity or the pH of HCl is between 1 to 3. That is helping us in digestion process. So this is one of the important use of pH. Second, in soil, plants thrive with a pH of 6.3 to 7.3. If soil is too acidic, adding lime helps. If it is too basic, adding gypsum helps. So soil, to make the soil fertile and creating the ability for it to grow plants in it, we are going to check the amount of pH present in the soil. So if the soil contains a pH in between of 6.3 to 7.3, then based on that quantity we add some amount of acid or base required to just equalize them. Third use is in tooth decay. Important question in board exam, okay? Bacteria in the mouth makes it acidic, leading to tooth decay. So toothpaste, being basic, balances the mouth's pH. So in our mouth, we have certain acid present. If the amount of acid in the mouth increases, then our tooth will start decaying. In order to neutralize it, we use a basic component called as toothpaste. So normally when we brush our tooth with the toothpaste, it neutralizes and gives a very touchy appearance to the teeth. Fourth thing is in blood. Importance of pH in blood. Blood functions best with a pH of 7 to 7.8. If my blood range, pH of the blood range is 7 to 7.8, we say it's the normal value. In plants and animals, they prefer specific pH values, with most plants growing best in soil around pH of 7. 7, as I told you, it's the mediocre value of pH, which is neutral. So if plants and animals or the soil level has a pH of 7, it is best preferred for the growth of plants or for the animals to strive inside it, like earthworms and many other worms can just stay inside it with no irritations level. Next is bee sting. The next importance of pH is called as bee sting. What is bee sting? Whenever a honeybee comes and bites, it bites you, you're able to see that your hand starts burning. Why is it happening? Because it is just liberating an acid. When it is liberating an acid, it can be neutralized by using a base called as baking soda. So bee stings are acidic in behavior. In order to neutralize them, we use baking soda, which equalizes the acidic component liberated by bee sting. Next is called as acid rain. What are acid rain? If the pollution is increasing in the atmosphere and due to that carbon dioxides are, the amount of CO2 is high and there is a rain that's happened during that time, the carbon dioxide level with the raindrops are just reaching the Earth's surface. At that point of time, the amount of water is acidic and hence we call it as acid rain. This acidic water, if it is reaching the plants or the shrubs, it is going to damage the leaves. as well as it is going to harm the fish and other animals present in the aquatic region also. So if acid rain is happening, we have to neutralize it with the basic behavior in order by just decreasing the amount of pollution causing by us. So these are the important daily life where importance of pH in daily life, where we are going to use it in such different levels. So these are each based on 1 mark questions as well as give reason question. There can be a question given like identify the substance which has a pH of 7, 9, 14, 1, 0 like that, as well as which substance will be neutralized when bee sting is liberated on your body. So those kinds of questions are important here. So moving ahead to the next slide, my dear kids. The third topic of the chapter was salts. Till now, in the complete session, we have learnt about acids, bases. In my first slide, I taught you the difference between acid, base, then the chemical properties of acid, chemical properties of base, then coming to the indicators, then pH, and now we are going to learn about salts, the third important definition that we have to understand. What's a salt? Salts are ionic compounds composed of positively charged cation and negatively charged anion. The best example of a salt can be NaCl, okay? In this, Na has a positive ion and Cl has a negative ion. Whenever I have a positive ion, I call it as cation, and whenever I have a negative ion, I call it as anion. So when cations are there, it majorly forms the positive radical and anions forms the negative radical. These ions held together by ionic bonds are called salts. The simple thing is, whenever a salt has to be formed, there should be a positive and a negative radical. There are 3 important types of salt. If the salt has strong acid and a strong base, then we call it as neutral salt. For neutral salt, the pH will be exactly 7. If I merge a strong acid with a weak base, they are called as acidic salt. Third type is, if I take a strong base and a weak acid, I form a basic salt. So 3 types of salt. One is neutral salt, acidic salt, basic salt. And the combinations are provided on the board. Let us learn about some important salts which are highly relevant and useful for us in our daily life. The first and the most common salt used by all of us is called as sodium chloride. NaCl is the substance, NaCl. So since it has a positive and a negative radical, it becomes, and the pH is exactly equal to 7, it becomes neutral salt. The common salt formation reaction will be an acid with a base gives salt and water, a neutralization reaction basically. HCl plus NaOH gives NaCl plus H2O. This is a neutralization reaction. Where does salt originate from? It is majorly found in sea waters. It is found in rock salt or the rock mineral deposits deep inside the earth. 2 important places where we can find these salts. The uses of most of these salts are used as food seasoning. It's a raw material for producing NaOH, baking soda and many more. The brine solution of common salt and water is used to produce chlorine, hydrogen and sodium hydroxide, which are the most important ingredients to make some more products. Alright. So the first salt that we have to learn is NaCl. The important tabulation is finally done by us. You can just pause the video or take a screenshot. Second is sodium hydroxide. I told you NaCl is majorly used to produce sodium hydroxide. So when sodium hydroxide is there, the chemical formula will be NaOH. It's basic in nature because it is having a strong base and a weak acid. It is basic in nature. When it is basic in nature, the pH will be greater than 7. The pH is greater than 7. For this, the pH will be equal to 7. So how do we form NaOH here? I'll take brine. NaCl plus water is called as brine solution. When brine solution is taken, NaCl plus H2O, I get NaOH plus Cl2 plus H2O, the important reaction known as chloralkali process. In chloralkali process, brine solution is in the input where the electrolysis or 2 electrodes are connected to a battery there, and the 3 outputs are there where we collect Cl2, H2 and NaOH in the 3 output levels. The origin of the production is done by electrolysis of brine, I told you just now, and the uses will be, this is majorly a basic product, so it is used in making soaps, paper industry as well as cleansing agent. 3 important uses you have to memorize. Pakka in board exam, one formation of any salt is given with its use and pH value. You have to learn this. The third type of salt is sodium hydrogen carbonate. This is again basic, that means the pH is less than 7. Okay, greater than 7. So sodium hydrogen carbonate, as I told you, NaHCO3 is the chemical formula. Commonly this is known as baking soda. The formation is, I will take NaCl, add it with water, carbon dioxide and ammonia. I get ammonium chloride and baking soda, which is my required salt. So this is produced using brine with carbon dioxide and ammonia. The major use is, this is used in baking powder, antacid, soda acids and many extinguishers. These are the important uses that you have to memorize. So 3 important salts and their production uses we have learned. Let us further go ahead. The next type of salt is sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate is majorly formed using sodium hydrogen carbonate. See, NaHCO3, it's also basic, that means the pH is greater than 7. So NaHCO3, when I am just decomposing, it is liberating Na2CO3, CO2 and H2O. This is a reaction. It is obtained by heating sodium hydrogen carbonate, and uses are glass, soap, paper industries and for removing water hardness. Next is called as bleaching powder. This is called as bleaching powder. The chemical name of bleaching powder is calcium oxychloride, CaOCl2. This is also basic in nature. This is formed using the byproduct called as calcium hydroxide adding with chlorine. When I am adding CaOH whole twice with chlorine, CaOCl2 and H2O is formed. This is produced using slaked lime, reacting it with chlorine, as well as it has many wide ranges of uses, like it's used in textile industry, paper industry, cleansing of water and as well as an oxidizing agent. It's also used for bleaching many cloths. So this is one of the major important question that's always asked in pre-boards and an important topic that you have to study without fail. Mark it important. The next type of salt that we have to analyze is called as plaster of Paris. Whenever we are getting fractured bones, an accident is happening and our bones are getting fractured, we use a component called as POP, plaster of Paris. The chemical name of plaster of Paris is calcium sulfate hemihydrate, CaSO4.12H2O. This is basically formed by gypsum. Gypsum is nothing but CaSO4.2H2O. This is half H2O, this is 2H2O. When this is getting decomposed, the 1.5 water is just liberated out of it. So when calcium sulfate has half water molecule, it acts like POP. When it has 2 water molecule, it acts like gypsum. It is majorly found in natural deposits and uses, as I told you, for fracturing bones, making toys, monuments and smoothing many surfaces, etc. The next type of salt that we have to learn is sodium carbonate decahydrate. We have learned about sodium carbonate. See here, Na2CO3. Deca means 10 water molecule. Dot 10 H2O is the only change here. All these substances majorly are basic in nature. It's obtained using the normal name of sodium carbonate decahydrate is called as washing soda. Whenever I am taking sodium carbonate, adding with 10 molecules of water, I get the washing soda. The major formation of this reaction is called as recrystallization reaction. Uses, as we have mentioned, it's washing soda, so used in washing glasses, soap, paper industry, removing permanent hardness of water are the major uses of this particular salt. There are 5 to 6 salts as mentioned in the tabulation. You can take a screenshot or you will find the same PPT in the description box below. To further move on in this chapter, these are the important things that we have covered and made the chapter easy, simple, informative as well as useful to all my dear kids. I hope you have learned all the required important things, and to wind up with, this is the last important thing that you have to understand. This is called as chlor-alkali process. This is an apparatus where we have brine solution. What is a brine solution? Addition of NaCl with water is majorly called as brine. This is called as an electrolytic membrane. In this there are 3 important outputs. One is here, and the other is here. In the upper outputs, we get chlorine and hydrogen gas. Because they are gases, they are just raised up, and sodium hydroxide is collected in the right side output valve. When brine is liberated inside the given beaker, there is a small semi-permeable membrane connected to 2 electrodes with the help of a battery to anode and cathode. The major thing happening here is the positive anode is just collecting the negative ions here, that is Cl minus and OH minus, and the cathode is connecting the positive ions, that is Na plus and H plus ions. This membrane is basically semi-permeable, allowing the ions to mobilize in and around. So when the circuit is closed and switched on, we are able to see that chlorine, hydrogens are collected in the upward outlets and sodium hydroxide is collected in the right side outlet valve. So this is an important chlor-alkali process which is majorly given as a 5 marker, and you are been provided with many reactions here, like NaCl plus 2H2O gives NaOH plus Cl2 plus H2. So these are the important output, that is 3 important things collected: sodium hydroxide, chlorine and hydrogen. In this, at anode chlorine is collected, at cathode hydrogen gas is collected, and near cathode NaOH is formed. So this process, since there is a collection of chlorine and an alkali called as NaOH, it is called as chlor-alkali process. So in this chapter, majorly important things and various other inputs on pH, indicators, chemical properties are provided by me. I hope the video was really informative for you and you didn't skip it at all. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Have a great day.